And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at Android Mainframe. Now this is the third game based in the Android universe. First we had the Android board game, which was a noir crime investigation. Then the extremely popular re-theming of Netrunner, Android Netrunner. Android Mainframe is that same thing, where runners are hacking into a system, but this is more of a abstract strategy game, an area control game, a very thinky game for 2 to 4 players. Let's take a look at how it works. So players are going to build this plastic board. It's 4 pieces, fits together, a nice plastic board, and each player is going to pick a runner. There are different runners involved in the game. Each of those comes with 5 cards. They also come with 8 access tokens. So you have these access point tokens. And of those 5 cards that you have, you're going to shuffle the deck, take 3 of them. Those are the 3 you'll use over the course of the game. The other 2 are not needed. You also have a bunch of partitions. That's these blue pieces here. They're going to fit on the board, and you're going to be dividing the board up into regions. To start the game, each player is going to place an access node somewhere on the board, one of them, and after that happens, the game starts. So this is the example set up for a 4-player game. Now, on a player's turn, they have 3 options. They can discard the top card of this generic program deck to put out another access token somewhere. They also can play one of the cards in their hand, but you only have 3 of these for the whole game, so you need to know the best time to play them. Or they can play one of these generic programs up here and then draw a new card to take its place. Now, many of the generic programs show you some partitions. So this one, they always show 3 partitions, so maybe I play it so that it goes like this. Now, you don't always have to play them in the direction that they're shown. So maybe if I did this one here, I could turn it like this and build partitions like that. And so players are going to be placing these out. You can't mirror it, but you can rotate it and put it on the board any way you want. Here's one that lets you move one partition to another spot. Here's a place that lets you switch 2 of the access point tokens on the board. Here's kind of an L-shaped thing that you can play. Here you can put any 2 partitions where you want on the board. Now, the whole point of this is to form regions on the board. And once a region is completely finished, so let's say this region here is completely finished and there's only 1 player's access point tokens in, we turn them over. That access point token can no longer be moved. That region is secure. Now, the main thing about a secure region to an unsecure region, so this region here, for example, is unsecure because it's open. So when it's unsecure, you can still place other partitions in it. So I could maybe do this, which would secure that region. If there's multiple people in it, and even if it's closed, it's not a secure region. Although again, maybe the green player does something like this, now both regions are secure. And that's really the whole point of the game. You want to get as many secure regions with yours in that because they can no longer be touched, they can no longer be moved. Remember that these cards here are going to, the ones for each player, they're all different. The game's very asymmetrical in that regard. Like this one here lets you move 1 access point token for each runner. This lets you put 2 of your own access point tokens out. This lets you swap 2 access points and then swap 2 more. This guy here, on end of your turn, but on his next turn, he can take 2 turns in a row. This person can put out 3 partitions anywhere they want, or put out this big giant partition that's made of 4. And so players have to know the best time to do that. Now, the game is going to end when this deck runs out or there's no legal moves. When that happens, everyone except the person who made the deck run out gets 1 final turn, and then you're going to sum up all the places on the board that are secured. These unsecured ones, nothing. They're worthless. The secure ones will get 1 point for each spot, so 1, 2, 3 points for green, 1 point for purple, 4 points for blue. You add them all together, whoever has the most wins. If there's a tie, whoever has the bigger area is the winner of the game. Now, there's a lot that I like about this game. First, I like the taking of the cards, the actions, controlling different things. It's much more difficult than you think. I mean, your first thoughts are big area, mine, no one else's, 6, 7 squares, all mine. That is really hard to do because other players are going to be going after you. And because other players are coming after you, I have to say that the 2-player game has a very different feel than the 3, than the 4. With a 4-player game, you're fighting for your life. You get a 2 area, you're feeling okay. A 3 area, it's amazing. With a 2-player, you can pull off the bigger areas with card play. But with the 4-player game, you might set yourself up, and then the other 3 players all do something to mess it up. So it's clever card play, but what I really like about the game is the asymmetrical nature of it. Each player has 5 cards that are completely different than the other players, and then you only get 3 of those cards. So every game will have a little bit of a different feel. I think the cards are balanced. I don't know, but I mean, they seem like everyone else's cards are always better than mine. But I like that you have those 3 cards, and you're like, oh, when to play these cards? But you're really better off playing them at some point. The game is not that long. The box here says 30 minutes, but I think that's on the higher end. It's probably more of a 20-minute game unless you get really thinky about it. And the game does reward thinkiness. You're saying, okay, if I put this here, then next turn I can switch those 2. And of course your opponents are going to mess you up with their moves. And of course there's going to be luck on which cards show up. So there's some luck in this game, but I think there's some more of a depth to it than you might think. And when you're kids, you play that, hey, I put the lines around and make squares, and that area control type thing. And that's cool. And this game takes that and adds another level to it. Having those 3 different barriers and how you're going to place them to help yourself, hurt your opponent, chop up their big group, make a pretty decent sized group of yours when no one's looking, switch it at the last minute right before the group closes. It's hard to pull all that stuff off, but when you do, it feels very satisfying. The pieces are really good. The plastic board is nice. The blue barriers that go in between it. The artwork is good. Like I said, the runners feel different, and it also has a good feel from 2, 3, and 4 players. This is a really solid entry. I enjoyed this from the minute I started playing. At first I was like, oh, okay, let's see how we go. But almost instantly you're trying to form areas. Almost instantly those other people are annoying you with the cards that they take. And then there's some cards you're like, that card's not very useful. Oh yes it is. In the right situation, every card can be incredibly useful. I foresee myself playing this one more down the road, but a nice cool theme. It's different than the other games in the Android universe, and it's probably the least themed. You could probably take the Android theming out of it and add something else in it, and it might still work. But the theme does lay on top of this game pretty well, and it is something I think that a lot of people are going to enjoy, best being, I think, 2 players. That's Android Mainframe. Dice Tower Judgment approved.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!